Alright, so we're back. Of course, talking about some Final Fantasy VII, and we are discussing First Soldier. You probably already seen it by now. You know we had to make a video about it. But in less than a year, they are already announcing the end of this game. Obviously, there was like a beta and shit when it came to First Soldier, but the game didn't actually go live publicly until November of last year. So it's been less than a year, and they're already talking about the game coming to an end at the beginning of 2023. So they dropped this image early today. It's like 1:30 a.m. my time. I was asleep, so I missed all this. I didn't see it till this morning. But it says, "It is with a heavy heart that we are announcing the end of service for Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. We'll be ending service at 7 UTC on January 11th, 2023. I assume that means 7 a.m. because they kind of use what we refer to as military time. Despite all our efforts to bring you regular updates with fresh and exciting content, we haven't been able to deliver the experience that we were hoping to and that you all deserve. So we made the extremely tough decision to end service for Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier. We'd like to thank you all for supporting us over the past year. Although there's only a little less than 3 months until service ends, we'll continue to make updates during this time, so we hope you will continue to enjoy Final Fantasy VII The First Soldier until the very end." They did also put out a blog on their website for this. It does say the same shit, but there's a little bit difference towards the beginning where it says, "After almost a year of jumping around on chocobos, mashing it up in melee battles, and sniping from the rooftops of Midgar Undercity, is with a heavy heart," and then it says the same shit, which is a little nicer than just saying, "Hey, the game's coming to a fucking end." There's also some additional information with this blog post that like the tweet and stuff doesn't have, but it's not anything that's super important other than the fact that your Shinra credits are still going to be usable currently, and they're going to be usable until the game actually comes to an end. So essentially, if you have them, spend them. Though it kind of doesn't matter anyways whether you spend them or not, because the game's coming to an end, so yikes. And look, man, this sucks. This sucks for the dev team. It sucks for the people that do enjoy playing this game. But ultimately, this game was always going to fail. It was never going to thrive on just the mobile market. Because like the cost of entry is a little high, right? In terms of like getting people to play your game. Because if you're not used to playing mobile shooters, it is rough to get into, man. I'm used to it because this game plays very similar to COD Mobile. And I did used to play COD Mobile quite a bit back in the day. A lot of, actually COD Mobile BR specifically. So I'm used to playing mobile BRs. That's not the biggest deal to me. It's just getting a big, huge audience into this was always going to be hard to do. Especially on just the mobile market. If this game, as we've been saying since day motherfucking one, if this game came out on console as well or first, it probably would have thrived. The game's been out for almost a year now, and they've not shown ever any interest in making it a console game or anything like that. So this was, again, always destined to fail. And if you go to that tweet, man, the tweet they put out earlier today, if you look at the replies or any of the quote tweets, almost unanimously, it's people talking about how the game would have done better if it was on console or PC as well. And look, this video is not meant to be like an I told you so, and it's not meant to be kicking them while they're already down. But this is something we've been saying for a long time. Now, did I think that the game was going to end in less than like a year or whatever? I guess them announcing it in less than a year. No, I wasn't predicting that. But this game was never going to have like a massive shelf life. It just was not going to happen. I do think they could have done something special with the idea of like an FF7 BR, but if it was on console and if it was more than just Midgar, right? Because for one, it's not even like an accurate depiction of Midgar because it's a simulation and like the way that it's laid out and shit with the maps. It's just not how Midgar is. It would have been so much better if they did like a console BR, but it was like Gaia, right? Either the whole world of Gaia, or you could maybe separate the continents into individual maps, so there'd only be like 3 or 4 maps or something like that, right? Like they could have done something cool with that. Now, would it have made sense in the lore to be doing battle royale shit all across the map of Gaia? Not really, but you don't have to give it a lore purpose. It is just a battle royale. I know a lot of BRs out there do have story, but who gives a shit, right? It doesn't really matter. I'd rather have a fun game than worry about the goddamn lore that is barely even there anyways. Though if we want to kind of give it a lore purpose, if this theoretical BR was happening across the world, you could just explain it away as it's wars and skirmishes and battles that are happening all around the world, right? That's all it has to be. But anyways, back on topic, it does suck that this game's coming to an end, right? But in a certain way, it's kind of for the better, because this game's always been kind of controversial since it got revealed, right? Because it's almost a meme in and of itself that there's an FF7 Battle Royale. Like, that's just something I never thought I'd see in my life. And on paper, I should like it. And I kind of do like the game a bit on mobile. It'd be better on a different platform. But there's always a lot of people like just never interested in this game. And it's kind of for the better that it failed, so that Square Enix realizes they can't just do whatever the fuck they want with the FF7 property, right? Like, that's important, because that's the only reason this game really exists, let's be honest. The only reason you make a battle royale for FF7 in fucking 2021 is you're trying to make money. You're trying to hop on trends and you're years late to it. And just using Fortnite as an example here, like that shit dropped in 2017, right? And like I think there's like PUBG and other shit before Fortnite. So they were so many years late. Like by the time 2021 rolls around, BRs are still popular and played, but it's going to be hard to hop in on the market, right? It's like Apex, Fortnite, Warzone, and that's the big three. And if you're trying to create a new BR in that market, it's just probably not going to happen. Also, I think PUBG is still really, really big. It's just you don't hear about it that much anymore, but I think it does have like a massive audience, if I'm not mistaken. And to me, it's almost like, from an outside perspective, almost like they knew this was going to happen. Like the writing was on the wall for them internally as well, because they were running through skins quickly. Like I mentioned this before. I don't know if it's in a video or if it was on like Twitter or something, but like it was the first few months of this game, like you could already get skins for like the majority of FF7 characters, right? And by March of this year, which is only a couple months after launch, you could already get a Genesis skin of all things. So right there, I just showed you guys the entire Avalanche group, right? Cloud Tifa, and then Barrett, and then Jesse Biggs Wedge. And you can get all of those skins within the first month of this game's launch, which is odd because if you're trying to give the game like a longer shelf life, you'd spread out like the big releases. You make a big deal about these character skins dropping, right? It's like a few months pass and you're like, here's a Sephiroth skin. A few months pass, here's a Cloud skin or something, right? You'd spread it out and kind of fill in the in-between with like the smaller skins, like the Moogle outfits and Cactuar skins, whatever the fuck they got. So it always seemed kind of odd to me how often they were just shitting out major character skins, and it seems like maybe there's a purpose to that. Maybe they realized early on that this game was going to die. It didn't have much of a launch or whatever, so they're like, let's make as much money as we fucking can before the shit ends. And this is kind of the problem too with multiplayer-only games, because as soon as they die, every dollar you ever spent and all the time you spent was a complete fucking waste. Because imagine you're somebody that is super into First Soldier. You've been playing it since launch, right? You've been playing it for the last almost a year. Maybe you put money into this game every time a new season, a new pack, skin drops, whatever the case. You put money into the game. Every dollar you spent was for fucking nothing, because the game's already dead within a year. And look, it's cool then to be supporting the game until the game actually ends, right? Like even earlier they tweeted out about some like Halloween event or whatever the case. But at the same time, where's the motivation to play, right? Like why would I want to hop on First Soldier right now and play and grind and do anything when it's all pointless in 3 months? Look, I give them props for being upfront with their audience, months ahead of time. It would have been much worse if you were playing this game in December and they're like, hey, by the way, next month in January, the game's coming to an end. Like they're announcing it several months ahead of time, so that's good. They're letting their audience know. And like when it comes to First Soldier coming to an end, I've already seen people drawing a similar comparison to something like Ever Crisis, right? I've already seen people saying like, well, if you're looking forward to Ever Crisis, I'd be kind of worried. And it's like, no, dude, these are completely different games and situations. For one, they're made by completely different dev teams, so it's irrelevant. One doesn't affect the other, right? It's Applebot making Ever Crisis, A-Team and Square Enix making First Soldier. As I mentioned earlier when it came to First Soldier, the cost of entry, these are very, very different games. It's much harder to convince an audience of people to play your Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale than it is to play Ever Crisis, which is just essentially like a turn-based RPG. It's just a retelling of the FF7 story. Like that's gonna always have an audience. Ever Crisis is entirely free to play, right? There's gonna be free updates every single month for one or more of the games. They'll be adding chapters and stuff like that. And you'll be able to play through, I would imagine, at least about 90% of the content if you were free to play. Like if you just gotta grind your ass off, level up characters, whatever the case, you can beat a majority of what the game offers entirely free. And then there might be some like in-game shit, because we know there's gonna be dungeons or whatever, where it's like high-level content where you either have to really, really grind your ass off, or maybe you got to invest a little bit of money into the game and hope to pull like the good gear and stuff from the microtransaction system. Other than that, though, the game's entirely free to play. And again, the difference between Ever Crisis and First Soldier is people are looking forward to Ever Crisis, and almost nobody was looking forward to First Soldier. Like, nobody really wanted this. There are people that are excited for it, that wanted to check it out, but the majority of the community were indifferent to negative on a fucking Battle Royale for FF7. People want Ever Crisis. People are desperate for Ever Crisis. This game's going to thrive. Not to mention that Ever Crisis is going to offer a playable Advent Children, and essentially a remaster, if you want to call it that, of Before Crisis, a re-release of Crisis Core and Dare to Cerberus, and there's even going to be brand new story stuff with like First Soldier for one, which is kind of funny given that First Soldier is like ending. There's going to be a First Soldier prequel stuff, and like a Sephiroth prequel story too. So again, Ever Crisis and First Soldier aren't even comparable. The only effect that this might have when it comes to Ever Crisis is maybe them handling the game a little bit better. Maybe they learn from this experience. Maybe they understand their audience a little bit better. That being said, the Square Enix themselves have been in the mobile market for quite a while now, so I think they'd already know that. I mean, hell, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius has been out since 2015. That game is still going to this day, and I still play it to this day. I've been playing it off and on more or less since release. Like, whoever they got handling that game is doing the shit perfectly. And I know we've been talking a lot about the platform of choice when it comes to First Soldier, but it's an important reason for why this game is dying, because they started out only on mobile, and it's only mobile, right? Whereas if you look at something like Fortnite and PUBG, those were console and PC exclusive games, and eventually they moved into the mobile market once mobile gaming became huge. And even something like Warzone. Warzone's been out for almost 3 years now, but at the beginning of 2023, they're going to move into the mobile market, right? So if this game started on console and PC, they could have eventually moved into the mobile market if they were trying to make money from that platform. But starting out mobile only, the game was always going to die. And look, there's still demand for it, right? There's some people that don't want them to scrap. There's people that want them to do something with the game, bring it to modern consoles, right? And maybe they'll find a way to do that within the next couple months if the demand's high enough, but I wouldn't count on it. That's more or less the video, my dudes. And look, if you've been following me since the reveal of First Soldier, you guys know that I've been indifferent or negative on this game. And if you have two working eyes and a brain, anybody could have told Square Enix that this was going to happen. The writing was always on the wall for this, and it was a matter of time. Happened a little faster than I thought it was going to happen, but it was inevitable. That's the video, my dudes. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, give a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new today. More Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier content. No, just kidding. The game's fucking dead. Turn notifications. Follow me on Twitter, @YT, @my Discord. Links to social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys. And I actually want to throw this in here towards the end of the video, too, because I just thought about it while wrapping up the video. A little bonus content for anybody that's made it this far. But the negative reception to First Soldier might be what's taking so long with Ever Crisis, because we're getting towards the end of 2022, and we ain't seen shit, right? The game was supposed to release in 2022, and then we had the 25th anniversary live stream, and then we learned there's supposed to be a beta within 2022, but we're mid-October, and we haven't seen shit. That was like 4 months ago. So maybe because of how much of a flop First Soldier was, maybe they're just trying to do the shit right with Ever Crisis, and maybe that's why we ain't seen it yet. Who knows?
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Gain or leave it like Cobain.